You're the most reliable person on your team. But let's be real, you're also the most overlooked. I mean, let's talk about why your A-plus student energy is actually the biggest tax on your career growth. I see this happening to the brightest people in the room, especially women who have spent their whole lives being told that hard work is the only currency that matters. You're the first one in, the last one out, and your Slack notifications are just a constant stream of other people's quick questions. Because, well, let's be honest, everyone knows you'll actually get it done. But here's the cold, hard truth I want us to sit with today. You think you're building a resume, but you're actually building a cage. In the world of high-performance psychology, we call this the reliability paradox. It's the cruel irony where your incredible ability to handle everything makes you, well, invisible for anything new. Think about it from a management perspective for a second. I mean, if you're the only person who can keep the current engine running without a single hiccup, why would they ever move you to the driver's seat of a different car? You've become so essential to the process that you've become irrelevant to the progress. I know that sounds harsh, and trust me, I value your work ethic as much as you do. But I really want you to look at the ROI of your current behavior. You're over-delivering on tasks that don't actually move the needle for your own career, while the people who are doing just enough are the ones getting tapped for the high-level strategy meetings. It's an exhausting cycle, right? You work harder to prove you're ready for the next level, but that extra work just anchors you more firmly to the level you're already at. Throughout this video, I'm going to show you how to break this cycle. We're going to deconstruct that good girl mindset that keeps you seeking permission and start building a framework for actual influence. By the time we're done, I want to help you flip your professional identity entirely. We're moving away from being the fixer who cleans up everyone's mess, and we're moving toward being the strategist who actually calls the shots. So,
I want you to really look at your team for a second. Why is it that people with 50% of your competence are getting 100% of the recognition? Well, it's because they've mastered the art of being too busy for the small stuff, while you've mastered the art of being indispensable for the things that don't actually matter in a performance review. You're working harder, but you're staying in place because your energy is being diffused into a million tiny directions. But the really wild part isn't just that you're doing more work. It's how your own brain is actually tricking you into thinking this burnout is a sign of success. There's a specific psychological glitch in our high achiever programming that makes us crave this exhaustion. And if we don't address it now, the good girl tax only gets higher as you move up the ladder. However, there's one specific reason why saying no feels physically painful for you. And I'm telling you, it's not what you think. That pain you feel when you think about saying no, it's not just social anxiety, It's actually your brain's survival mechanism protecting the identity you've spent years building, the identity of the reliable one. But here's the thing we need to deconstruct together. Being the most reliable person in the room is often a psychological trap. I call it the too good to lose trap. You've been operating under the assumption that if you do everything and do it perfectly, you'll eventually be rewarded with a seat at the table. You think you're auditioning for a leadership role by being the best soldier. But real talk? I mean, managers don't promote the people they can't afford to move out of the trenches.
The first step is what I call an invisible labor audit. I want you to sit down and list every single task you've touched in the last 2 weeks. Now, be honest. Which of these are actually in your job description? and which are just things you took on because you're good at them or because someone had to do it. All that extra emotional labor, the meeting notes, the checking in on everyone's stress levels, the fixing of other people's sloppy work, that's your good girl tax. I want you to identify the bottom 20% of those tasks and either delegate them or just let them drop. If it's not driving your career forward, right, then it's just noise. Once you've cleared some space, you need to practice strategic friction. I know your instinct is to be the person who has all the answers, but every time you respond to a non-urgent Slack message in under a minute, you're signaling that your deep work doesn't matter. You're training your colleagues to treat you as a default safety net instead of a high-level professional. Start creating a delay. Let people sit with their own problems for an hour or two. You'll find that when you aren't there to solve everything instantly, people actually start developing their own solutions. You aren't being difficult, you see. You're being disciplined. Finally, we have to change the way you communicate your worth. When you're giving updates, I want you to completely ban the phrase, "here is what I did." That's worker bee language, you know? Instead, I want you to pivot to, "here is the impact I created." Don't tell me you spent 5 hours on a spreadsheet. Tell me your analysis uncovered a way to save the department 10% on overhead. You have to stop being the most helpful person in the room and start being the most strategic one. But here's the thing. Once you start pulling back and focusing on
I've seen so many brilliant women just burn out because they think their value is a direct result of their effort. It's not. In the world of high performance, effort is just the baseline, but outcomes, that's the real currency. You aren't being paid for your sweat, right? You're being paid for your perspective, your decision-making, and the specific impact that only you can deliver. If you're spending all your cognitive energy on tasks that literally anyone else could do, well, you're essentially tax deducting your own potential. This shift from helper to leader is uncomfortable because it requires you to step out of the shadows and actually take up space. It means valuing yourself enough to let a ball drop if it's not your ball to carry. It means looking at your to-do list and realizing that half of those items, they're just ways you're trying to prove you're good enough to even be in the room. But you don't need to prove you belong there anymore. You're already in the room. Now it's about what you are going to do with that position. Are you going to keep paying the tax of overperformance? Or are you going to start investing that energy back into your own growth? See, we're rewriting the script here at Power of Mindset. We're moving away from the busy trap and moving toward true high-impact mastery. I want you to join this community of high performers who are choosing strategy over struggle. If you're ready to stop being the most helpful person and start being the most impactful one, I want you to drop a comment with the word impact below. It's a signal to yourself and to me that you're doing a radical audit of your life this week. And if you're vibing with this deep dive into the psychology of how we work, well, make sure to subscribe to Power of Mindset. We're just getting started on deconstructing the habits that hold us back. You have the power to change the architecture of your life. You just have to be willing to stop being good so you can finally be great.